Hi, this is a recap of the lesson we did on in study skills for studying for HNC. It's split up into three parts, and what you may find is that what we've got here as a summary isn't everything that we discussed in class. This is partly because I've done this before the class. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is what is an HNC? What do you know about HNC? And then we'll move on to what next, and by what next I mean what we're going to look at is why you're doing it and what will you do with it when you actually achieve the qualification. And the final part, and maybe the biggest part, which is leading on to our study skills, is what is studying and how will you study while you're here studying for your HNC. Okay, so that's a quick introduction, and to start off with HNC, what do we mean by HNC? Okay, well, the first thing is that HNC is a recognised qualification. You wouldn't be here doing something which people didn't recognise. So who actually recognises this? And it's recognised by your employer, which is maybe one of the most important reasons you're here, but also by universities, professional bodies. It's recognised in the UK and overseas. It's an established qualification. It was developed first in 1941, and it was developed to enable people to gain qualifications while they were working, which was relevant to their vocation. Principally this was about engineering, but now it's moved out into lots of other fields. The other thing about HNC is if you were to pitch it and say what sort of level it's at, it's roughly equivalent to year one of a bachelor's degree. So this actually means that it gives you a progression route when you've finished your HNC, but along with that, because it's equivalent to a first year of a bachelor's degree, higher education institutions, the universities, etc., have an expectation of what you will know. So the standards that you work to, and also to some degree the way that you actually work. So that's the first bit about HNC. So let's move on to what comes next. Hopefully here you've got a reason for why you're doing this. So let's have a look in more detail. And I'm hoping these are the things that came up in the class. First thing is for your job. As you're moving into engineering, one of the things that you'll find is that your job is not static. You're using new technology which changes all the time. Now to some extent that makes it exciting, but also it means there's a lot of work there for you. You will not be able to rely on your HNC to serve you for the rest of your working life. Things change and you'll need to update as you go through. With regards to your job, you may decide that you're going to change employer, and most engineers will not now be working for the same employer for the rest of their working lives. This used to be the case when the qualification was started in 1941, but now you'll find many engineers move employers. New opportunities arise and you may go off to study in a different field, and so that you may want a job to match up with that. As part of your job, no matter what you do, you will be involved with training other people. That may just be an apprentice, but as you move up the chain in the company, then you may be involved with training younger engineers in processes and procedures. Higher education. You may want to use your HNC as a gateway to higher education, and one of the reasons for doing that is to give you promotion opportunities, but also to make sure that you're on top of your professional development. And when we're talking about profession, the next thing is that you want to be, I hope, a professional engineer, which actually means that this is something again which is recognised worldwide, and you belong to an institution which has been there for many years and is a body of engineers who share their experience and can be recognised as being a body of good practice. You'll see that HETA is linked up to the Institution of Engineering and Technology and also the Institution of Mechanical Engineers, and your HNC will give you an inroad into these professional qualifications. And finally, the biggest part of the study skills was the introduction into study. What do we mean by study? Well, hopefully by now we've established that you want to be successful, and you can see why HNC is going to be important to you in your future careers. So what you need to do now is to look at how you can make best use of the opportunities you've got while you're here to study effectively and efficiently. Okay, so you're working, so you've only got a limited number of hours available for your study. So how do you make sure that you make the most of that time so that you're as successful as possible? So let's start off with some of the definitions of studying. And these are dictionary definitions, and notice I've highlighted some of the words. The activity of learning or gaining knowledge either from books or by examining things in the world. To learn. To gain knowledge by or skill by studying, from experience, from being taught, etc. And teaching, because it mentions teaching there. This is what your lecturers are expected to do, to give lessons to students in a college, school, college or university, to help somebody learn something by giving them information about it. So this is, our job is to help you learn, not to give you all the information and then that's it. So hopefully what you can pick up from this is that this, while you're studying, it's an active thing. It's not a passive thing. So you don't just have to sit there in class, take it all in. We'll give you all the information you need to pass the exam at the end of it or do your assignments. It's actually an active thing. You need to do this and we're there to support you. Okay, so that's what that's all about. And the final bit on this one, is the activities. So what sort of things will you be doing while you're studying? Well, the most important one is one we're going to start off with, is planning. How you actually plan your schedule to fit around your work life and your social life, because that's important too, to make sure that you have a realistic opportunity of passing the qualification. It needs to be challenging, because if it's not challenging, you're not going to achieve as much as you possibly can. If you just sit there and just do the minimum, then you're going to scrape through and you're not going to achieve your maximum capability. And the other thing we're going to look at is how you avoid procrastination. Okay, everybody suffers from this, and we can look at some different techniques to help you avoid the procrastination. We're going to have a look at some research skills. So how do you actually get hold of the information you need? Well, HETA has a Moodle site, and the lecturers will be putting information on Moodle, which will be a base for how you move forward. It's not something you should rely on entirely. You also need to do your own research. If there's things on Moodle that you're not happy with or you don't understand, then you can use the web. It's a fantastic resource available with the internet, and in there you'll find YouTube videos, you'll find web-based tutorials, and also you'll find something called a special interest group. Now this could be groups of people who are looking at a specific topic, and they have a forum which actually discusses particular interests, and you can look at those and you can contribute to those and you can ask questions of those on those. So there are people there who are interested in things like instrumentation, and what you can do is you can ask instrumentation experts in the field specific questions to help you. There are a number of books available, there are technical journals, and also there's manufacturer's material. So again, if you're looking at test instruments or instrumentation, then all the manufacturers who are attending lectures. Now, to get the most of the lectures, remember this is not a passive thing, it needs to be an active thing. You need to hopefully prepare before the lesson. You need to attend the lesson. It's no good missing it. You can look on Moodle and get some information, or you can get a recap, but you're never going to get as much as if you actually attend the lesson. Concentrate in the class. Okay, so avoid distractions. And I know people are going to sit there with their PDAs and their tablets, but it's how you use those. Okay, turn off the telephone bit of your PDA. People can always get hold of you at breaks, or you can pick up a message and get back to them at break times. Facebook, Twitter, etc. There's a hell of a temptation when you're sitting in lectures. If somebody goes off at a tangent, you'll just have a quick look at Facebook or Twitter. If you do that, you miss the opportunity to actually examine other aspects of what we're studying, but also it's more difficult to get back into it when it comes back onto topic again. So try and avoid this sort of thing here. And definitely no YouTube and games, especially if the YouTube bit is nothing to do with what we're studying. Participating. Again, let me remind you, it's not a passive thing. You need to be active, and the more active you are, the more you'll get from it. So ask questions, take notes. I know I'll give you, most of the lecturers anyway, will give you notes that you can use, but there's nothing like your own notes. And while you're taking notes, it's harder to fall asleep. Take part in group activities. So as part of the study skills we've seen today, I've put you in pairs, got you to work together. Hopefully you found that really useful. So you can actually work in groups that I assign to you, but also there's the informal groups that take part either after class or so in breaks, etc. You may decide to get together with your peers and just for once talk about something other than Hull City or whatever your shared interests are. The final one we're going to look at is private study. More may have come out in class, but these are just some of the ideas. So private study, this is what you should be doing outside of class. You should be doing some revision, you should be doing self-evaluation, and you should be doing your assignments. And this all ties back with the planning. So you need to put time aside for all of these activities. So hopefully that was a recap of what we went through in the lesson. If there's more came out of it, good. If there's more came out of it that I haven't got on here, make sure you make a note. And if there's anything in particular that you're more worried about than others, let me know. And what we're doing from now on is concentrating on the study bit, how you can develop the skills to set you up to be successful on the HNC. But also remember that hopefully you decide you want to go on to higher education, then these skills that you learn here will be useful when you get to university. Thanks very much, and hopefully see you next week.